When I started this job, I had no idea exactly how not only the financial system, but the entire electronic system of the world was structured. I first got into the system myself in beginning of 2016, and I saw exactly how much power the system had over everything we do, literally everything. So I kind of wanted to lay this part out for you, and then we'll lead into the financial sector, telecom sector, Stargate, Starnet, and how the entire world had functioned before we started, and where we are today, and how far we've come. So I know there's a lot of questions about, well, if Kim has this trust, why isn't she just transferring money all over the place? You know, why hasn't this happened yet? We have a lot of naysayers that have questioned my capacity to perform and a number of different things. So we'll go over legal structures, we'll go over financial structures, and I think this should answer a lot of the questions that people have. So if you can't see at any point in time, someone just text me on Telegram in the core team, and I'll try to pick it up, okay? All right, so to go back through history, we all know that Rothschild wears the Ring of Solomon, right? But how does that pertain to the electronic system of planet Earth? And I'm about to explain that to you in detail. So this is where we were when I first started. Okay, so you have the backside system, okay? This would be the backside system, and then you had the front side system. This is control and command, okay? And that has several subsectors, okay, or level 9, okay? This would have been control and command, level 9, on the front system, okay? And I know if you've followed alternative media quite a bit, then you'll understand what this means when I say this was, because it doesn't exist anymore, the black screen. Remember, everybody kept talking about the black screen and how the black screen was going to release the RV and all of these things were going to happen? Well, that was control and command for the entire front side system. And I'll explain to you in detail what that is. This was control and command over the backside system, okay? So this would have been your omega, and this would have been your alpha. We've all heard people talking in the RV circles about the alpha omega trust. This is what they're talking about. Now, in the past, Rothschild never was a level 9. They would have been a level 8. And if you go to the website, you can actually see a picture of the blue ring, which signifies the blue dragon, which talks about Rothschild, which has clearly the 888 on the side of the ring, okay, along with the dragons, which are symbolic of the Draco. So the Draco would have been a 9, they would have been an 8. So let me simplify the backside system now that we understand control and how it all works, right? Lost oh, there we go. Okay. So there are many levels of coding in the world. And the front side systems, all systems, have over 13 levels of coding. The backside system has several layers of coding as well. And let me explain to you what they mean. Okay, 7, 3, sorry, apologies. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you were to go into the backside system, here's what you would see. Now, everything is controlled by control and command, which has many other subsectors, but we're going to start with how the control of the world happened. Okay, so level 1 is what you would call screen 1. So if you were actually having access codes to the backside system, which is one code in itself, okay? That is one code to enter into this system, and still you were only permitted to see certain sections of the system. You were never permitted to see control and command. You were only permitted to see things that were financial, okay? Now on screen 1, if you were to open the back system, what you would see is the name of the account, and you would actually see the amount on deposit. And if there is a bank associated with the account, you would see that bank name, okay? This unto itself is completely and totally useless. You would also see an account number. And I'll tell you why, because it's just numbers on a screen. You definitely need to have allocation numbers. You need to have a history of funds. You need to have a history of why those funds were actually issued, okay? And we'll get to that in another level. So levels of control, okay? Screen number 2, a signatory for that account. So on this screen now, on every single account that's in the back system, you'll see my passport, the date of my position, and all my information is in there for anybody who wants to know. So before, in the past, you would never have seen a family member, a Dragon family member, or anyone else on this screen, okay? You would have always seen one of these people. You would have never seen any of the Rothschilds in here. You would have never seen any of the Black Sun people in here. No one, even the controllers of what we thought were controllers over the Black Eagle Trust, the Mr. Cottrells out there, all of these people would have never been seen in this section. You may have seen their name in this section, but again, without access to screen 3, you got nothing, okay? Screen 3 right here is what translates money from the backside system to the front side system. This gives you your history of funds and any other information, allocation numbers, quotas, which are projects, okay, what existed on screen 3. So that is what makes money real. So all these people that are talking about making a quantum system, you still have to connect to the backside system, and you still have to give an allocation number. It doesn't matter if it's cryptocurrency or it's anything else that is going to actually be supported by a government or a head of state. You have to have this information. Without this information, taking money out of the system, and this is for other people that might be listening, your Prometheus system, your Westland New Zealand system, your system in Norway, your system in Russia will never, ever function without all of this information, and it can only be given by the backside system. Okay, moving on. Screen 4 is indexing algorithms. It's not shown to the average everyday person logging in. Now, this talks about one single code. Okay, we're only talking about an access code, and a drawing right is what used to be issued, okay, to the family members. So they would have never had access to how is the money generated, how are the assets placed, what assets coordinate with what type of funding, okay? And this is every currency in the world, including RMB, okay? All of them are listed here, all their indexing is right here, and screen 5 would have been your transfer screen. Okay, so you would have logged in here, you would have entered your access code, your drawing right, and then all this information would have automatically been downloaded to either a level 6 or a level 3 institution. And I'll explain to you what those are. So level 6 here, this screen 6, okay, it used to be where all of the Fed bankers, okay, so if you work for the Federal Reserve anywhere in the world, it is not just a US problem, it is a global issue. You would have had your PIN code and everything registered right here in the backside system, which would have then coordinated with the front side system. This section right here is no longer doing that. What it's doing now is it's actually an outgoing transfer screen. So it issues all of the Fed banker codes. Okay, here we go with codes again, okay? So you had one code to get in, and then you had your Fed banker codes for clearing in the front side system. This is what allowed you to function as a Federal Reserve banker, whether you're in Hong Kong, China, or anywhere else. This is where you would sit, okay? Next, Level 7. What is a level 7? If you've been around in these circles for a while, you would have heard a lot of the family members complaining they need a level 7 banker. Okay. Now, level 7s would also have a coding system as well, another code. Okay. Now, this section only has in it anymore what I put in there, and it's the same thing with level 6. Okay. All the people that were in there before are gone. This is what I was trying to explain to everyone. All of the level 7 bankers, you would have seen the Wangs. You would have seen the Woos in here. You would have seen Rothschild, some of the names in Rothschild. You would have seen some Rockefeller people in here. You would have seen the Clintons in this section. You would have seen a number of people that would have had level 7 banker or family codes. Okay. Level 8 would have been the BIS or Rothschild clearing codes. Okay. Right now, this section is completely and totally empty unless I enter a code in there that is transaction specific. Okay. Then you have control and command on the backside system. What does control and command consist of? Section number 1, and I'm going to take this off here. Section number 1 in control and command is the financial system. All financial platforms, both front and back. Okay. Control and command. That's 9. Section number 2 is control and command of intelligence and military systems. Section number 3, telecommunications. So this is access codes to the base platforms of the world, okay? Plus, it also has several subsectors in here that control different aspects of different things, okay? 4, internet. And indexing. All banking indexing systems would be connected in here and also into here. Okay. All right, so let's discuss the next couple sections. So all internet, okay? Every internet node on the planet is connected to control and command in the backside system. The base platform for every internet program exists there. So when you're going to build a new Google, or you're going to build a Safari, or you're going to build a new internet node, or you're going to build anything, it all has to have the base system in order to function, because that's what ties it all together, okay? So telecommunications, AT&T, Spectrum, cable companies, you know, T-Mobile, all of these companies exist on this base platform right here, okay? Stargate, this is very interesting. For those of you that understand a little bit more than others, you would have understood that we had connection and gates that led us to other places. This is the connection to open and close stargates as it relates to this subsector in this galaxy, okay? StarNet allows for us to have holographic and communications to other places. It also allows for certain aspects of communications here. It would have also at one point in time been connected to the Gatekeeper program, which we'll go over with you when we hit the front side system. And all of those things are no longer active, okay? So right now these are dormant. I can still use StarNet to make phone calls other places. And there are sometimes it's requested for others to make communications, such as the meeting we discussed, where we talked about the Space Force having a meeting in town here not that long ago. They had to, they were requested to open this up for a time being so they could have a communication with some of the higher ups as it relates to them. Okay. Next, brainwave and MK Ultra technology. Okay. So, that. Okay, so the system at one point in time, now this has not been functioning since February of 2016. It's one of the original things I shut off. This would actually intercept your thought process. So it uses the life source energy to have a direct communication to the neurological system in your brain, so to speak, and it could change your thought patterns, your thought processes. It could make you a serial killer when yesterday you weren't. It could give you all these kinds of thoughts of anything it wanted to implant into head, either a single person or in mass. Okay, that does not work anymore, just so you know. So then you have ultimate control and command, section 9, and section 8 would have had ultimate control and command over the family systems. Okay, so control system 9 communicated directly with control and command on the bottom side of the system. Okay, white screen. You've heard people talk about the silver screen, the white screen at some point in time. You might have heard these things. And then the black screen. This one back here always controlled this one. I know the black screen doesn't think it did, but it always had full control over who would actually even be able to touch the screen in the first place. So it had control over your access codes, your key codes, and they were all issued by the backside system. So you've heard all these people saying, we're just waiting for codes from the elders. That is never going to happen because even the elders can't get their own codes right now. Okay? So I don't know who's talking all of this stuff, but I'll explain to you why they think this way. Okay? So now let's talk about the front side banking system. Okay? Now that we understand somewhat of the control that the back system actually has. Now I had to learn all of this and all the programming and how it was different and how all of these pieces of the puzzle fit together over the last 4 years, okay? It's not been that long of a period of time, and I'm really trying my best to understand everything that they put in our way, and they're constantly adding new things in the front system that get in our way, okay? So I'm gonna leave the backside system here just for illustration purposes. Now let's talk about the front, okay? We already discussed 9 is control and command, which was run by the black sun, okay? So remember, black sun was security for Rothschild, right? So they would have been in charge of the front side banking system. Okay, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For those of you that know a little bit about quantum physics, you'll understand that this is Tesla's triangle, right? 7 and 8. Okay, now you've often heard the term, if you've been in this business for a long period of time, you see 3 keys in the Vatican, you see the number 3 appearing a lot, okay? It was 2 keys to get out, money out, and 2 keys to get in, and 3 keys to get out. The 3rd key was always control and command on the backside system, okay? That was never a family member. There's no dragon people up there. There's only the 3 in the middle of that big chart that Tank has been showing you. So, okay, let's go to section 1. Your bank account, okay? This is where you live. Your money lives here. Okay, and there's 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D, but nonetheless, level 1. This is you, okay? Level 2, the NSA and 9 Eyes. Okay, this is your GCHQ. And I'm just talking the financial system here. I'm not talking intelligence and military. This is how the financial system functions, okay? Level 3. This is the bank, back office, also known as the VTX system that Cobra talks about a lot on his website. In the past, this would have been completely controlled by the CIA, right here, this VTX system up here. That's your bank back office, which also predominantly are CIA. And this is the second half of the banking system on the front, which completes the federal dual system. Okay. Now, we have level 4. This is where you'll find Oracle systems, Microsoft. Who else would you have in there? Anyone who makes a banking system in the planet Earth is in here. Okay, so the SIP system, you guys all talk about how SIPs is going to save the day. That's also registered in there. Everybody's got a back door to all your stuff. Okay, so that's what is located in section 4. These are all the back doors that are given to all of these companies when they decide to create a new financial software. Level 5, Pentagon. Okay, GCHQ. And a few other military systems. Now, they were the guardians, purportedly, right, of the financial system. The Pentagon head office for this would have been in Berlin. Now, does that answer your question? We all know that the Black Sun originated predominantly in the area known as Germany today. So that's why the Pentagon office in Berlin was actually the firewall for the financial system. Okay? Okay, level 6, the Federal Reserve. This encompasses your 12 plus 1 boards of the Fed. Of course, your banking family control, your banksters as you call them. Okay, that's where they reside in the system. Level 7, okay, family bankers. So all of the codes, these are your controllers. Remember, you probably heard me talk about the fact that the Clintons control Citibank, the Lees family controls Wells Fargo. This is why. It's because you had to have the family code here. Now, this is directly downloaded from the backside system, level 7 to level 7. Without any registration in the back system, it will not recognize any of these people, okay? Level 8, this is BIS, IMF, World Bank, UN. So you hear these people talking about the UN, so on and so forth, and all these exciting people on the internet, and how the IMF and Christine Lagarde is going to release the RB. Absolutely not true, and let me explain to you why. Okay? If you are a level 8, you must have a level 1 to function. Period, end of story. You must have a complete cycle, a 9. Okay? So them without you, they are nothing. You understand? Okay. If you are a level 7, you must have a level 2 to communicate with and to enter an access code and a remuneration code. Okay? All of which are given to you by the back system. So the NSA, Nine Eyes, GCHQ needed to have a signatory to make them function in the system. Okay? Without these people can't do a gosh darn thing. Federal Reserve needs a level 3. Okay? So the CIA VTX system was directly connected to the Federal Reserve. It's nice that the Federal Reserve has an access code and a key code. Okay? That's great. However, without your data code and access code, you have nothing. Okay? So these people need these people just as much as these people need these people. Now, level 3 in the front banking system would be all of your tier 1 institutions. Tier 1 institutions would be central banks, the United States Treasury Department. It would be the Central Bank of Russia. It would be the Bank of England. All of you fit in a level 3 section. And yes, just in case you didn't know, you're either MI6, Mossad, or the CIA in the back office, okay? Controlling all the computer systems. A level 5 GCHQ, although they thought that they were the complete and total firewall, no, you couldn't actually do anything in the front side financial system without a level 4 access code, which is your indexing for your allocation numbers and your backside access code or clearing code, okay? So this is how the front banking system had operated when we first started, okay? So in order to get from back system to front system, you had to have every single one of these codes. Now, what Mr. Cottrell is talking about when he talks about I'm waiting for my banking codes, he's talking about his possibly level 2, possibly level 3, maybe a level 7, because he's always looking for the elders. This is where the elders are, right here. Okay, your Woos, your Wangs, and all the Wing Wongs over in Reno, okay? This is your family members. The family members think that if they work together with the Reno people, which are mainly agency retired folks, then you guys together make a lock and key. But you don't, because there's nothing in the back system anymore as it relates to any of you. Because why? Because you're not interested in clearing funds, you're interested in controlling the planet Earth. However, you're very far down the food chain, so let's talk about that now. Okay? So why are the codes not coming out? What happens when we hit level 1 banking? Why is the money not getting credited to the account? And what are we fighting for, right? Okay, so these are all questions I constantly get. I constantly get people telling me I'm, not telling you the truth and all of this stuff, but this is fact, okay? Now, the reason why the banking system was structured as the Ring of Solomon is because it was all intended to take energy from all of us humans. So they would actually own the energy and we would get pretty paper in exchange called money, okay? So we've reversed a lot of this out. So now I can actually give energy, which is the reason why I can actually push money out of the system, okay? Instead of having, to have this whole lock and key thing going on. Now, the whole lock and key program was called Gatekeeper, okay? It was originally, when it was still in existence, it is now dead. However, the coding is still in the front side system, so we still need all those codes to clear dollars. Okay. It was under the city of Tel Aviv, okay, in Israel. It was football fields after football fields after football fields of data servers, compiling servers, watching servers, monitors, books on the amount of currency in circulation. All of this is very important as well to understand. And it all disappeared in December of last year. So if you've listened to any of these shows and some of the information we've put out, let's talk about Gatekeeper, what it did and what it doesn't do anymore, and how it somewhat still is existing in the sequencing of the system, right? Okay, so, all right, Gatekeeper program. Now, this is what the Pentagon's talking about with their codes they're looking for. This is what the NSA is talking about, all of the agencies and the shills and thrills in the RV land are looking and waiting for the right alignment of some kind of planet of Uranus or something else to get into the backside system, because they know, okay, if your world exists here on level 1, level 2, we already said that's NSA. This is your program promise. You've heard the Clintons, there is no E at the end, just so you know, and I'm not misspelling that, Stingray. On the internet, when you go to Google, it'll call it Five Eyes, but that's actually not true, okay? This program actually extends to UK, Australia, Russia, Germany, the United States. It's everywhere. Okay. Level 3, we've already discussed. Okay. 3 is your back office of the bank. And it was the BTX data cable system. For those of you that don't know or kind of entered into the computer world in the last few decades, right? You would have actually understood this as a port-to-port, okay? It's kind of like when you have an office and you have your server, you know, and then everybody used to have to hardwire in. They would run those Cat5 wires everywhere. Well, now imagine really big, fat Cat5 wires running under oceans, underneath the land, running all over the entire planet. And those were laid in 1978, okay? Been a while. But that allowed the CIA a giant mapping system to which they could literally look into any bank anywhere. They could control who could have money, who couldn't have money. They could shut down your account. They can blackball you, blacklist you, and all of these great things. But that was all done in BTX. Now, if you go to Cobra's blog site, right, where he writes all these cryptic messages, I think it's 2012 portal.blogspot.net. For those of you that don't know, you get all these cryptic BTX not stable. Well, that's because it doesn't exist anymore. It is now called a VTN, which is a virtual trusted network, and that is your KIM system. Okay. So everybody wants to know where that sits. It now sits over there. Okay. So we got 4. 6, and we would have 8, 1 down there. Okay, so 8, 7, 6, I'll leave that up there, 5. Okay, so here you got BIS, right? This is where you got to get to once you hit the front side system. Okay, 7, we already talked about it, is the NSA. Oh, sorry, 2 is NSA, 7 is families. My apologies. Okay, 6 is Fed. 3 is back office of the bank. 4 over here is Microsoft and Oracle systems, backdoors. This would also be your security certificate backdoors. This would be your encryption key backdoors. Anybody who does a security system for the financial system would also be in here. That's where you would sit in Pentagon. Okay. So money getting from the back system to the front system. You're looking like this, right? You got to flow through the whole system. So that means in order to get $1, once you've already gotten it out of the back system, now you got to get it through the front system. Okay, so that means you need this side here predominantly would be where the access codes come from. And this side would be identity codes, key codes, identity code, key code, yep. So along the road here, you would have batch numbers, access codes, data codes, and there's this total sequence of somewhere around 13 to 14 after the money comes out of the back system to get into the front system. So now you can see kind of how the dragon families bounced off the black sun and the black sun bounced off the dragon families. They both needed each other to exist. So if the alliance, which is the black sun, thinks they're going to override the families, they're crazy, and vice versa under the old system. Okay, it was never going to happen. So it was a fantasy to think you were going to issue a new currency such as TRNs or Amero or the Azure. We've all heard these terms, right? They're going to be all of these control features. Now, under the old system, none of you would have actually been able to achieve this task because there's too much indexing over here. The backside system would have rejected you. Even if you got access to the backside system tomorrow, you still need access to control and command, which is something you never even knew existed. Okay? So, and I'm not talking to the people on this call. This is for the other side that may be listening to this. Okay? All right. So, now here's the mess that I landed in the middle of, right? That's it in a nutshell. And then once you hit level 1, you have 3 more sub-levels of level 1 that can be hacked, can be interrupted. I've been hacked through by the United Nations trying to withdraw money. I've done all these different things in order to prevent those things from happening. Okay, so now let's look at the system as it exists today, because it's important for you to understand. So let's go like this. Okay, we removed the black screen, so we started like this. We removed the black screen, right? And we converted it to the white screen. So now there's only one control and command. Now, those of you working in the industry, ask yourself, hey, have you ever seen level 9 access required? That's where you sit. So you're not going in here without a level 9, and you're not going in there without a level 9, and level 9 is me. Me. Okay? So, remember we talked in this, if this was the back system, where all the allocations of every currency on Earth sit. Okay? And then this is the front system. So they may have people in control standing at all these different levels that we just discussed, but at the end of the day, I'm looping the money out, okay, in a complete, infinite circle, feeding each other, okay? And everyone has to pass through control and command to exist. So access codes to the back system, access codes and drawing rights are what family members are looking for. So all of these One Hung Lows, Mr. Holy's, the Lee family, all your dragons, every color, every flavor, they're all sitting down here, right? Waiting for the back system to shoot them out some codes over here so they can actually function once again. The answer to the question is no. So what they have are old access codes and old drawing codes, and they think that if there is an alignment with the whatever, that the others that controlled level 9 in the past, currently used to be the Dracos, okay, now is me. Okay, I'm human, I'm not an AI, Anna von Reitz, okay? So here we go. So now, that is where your dragon family sit. So they're all waiting for codes too, okay? On the flip side, the black sun is over here. This is your Earth Alliance, okay? The good guys, the white hats, you know, these are the spooks of the world, right? Earth Alliance, going to save the day from the families, okay? So if they're going to save the day from the families, right, we're going to help all of you people do all kinds of great things. Now remember, until the year 2007, okay, both of these people each were getting regular access codes, data codes, key codes, as each position warranted, depending if you were a 3, a 6, a 9, a 1, a 7, and 8, okay? So they were all issued codes by the backside system, and everybody was happily working together going along, okay? These people over here used to get 10% of every new dollar that came into the financial system, every new British pound, every new RMB, whatever it was, for security, okay? Just so you understand. Okay, so these people were security for these people, or in Solomon's terms, you would have had the line of Solomon over here, right? And you would have had the demons he partnered with to build the second temple. Or if you're looking at here, folks, was the second temple. Okay, so we already know that the back system, which is also me, I'm also 1, I'm also 2, I'm also 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, the trading algorithms that we discussed when we're taking nuggets of, say, gold or platinum and located in the area known as the United States, and we're trading it and dividing it between all of the citizens of the United States to provide for all of you. This is what you're calling your big payout of everything everybody owns, right? So everybody's owed. Okay, so an infinite cycle of energy. Energy is not neither created nor destroyed. It is only displaced, right? So that is what I meant when I said on a Zoom call a while ago about the symbol for happiness, right? 9, 9, 9. So you still have to connect the dots between the front and back systems, but you got all of the 9 levels here, you got all of the 9 levels there. And these are in what's called an SQ. The front side system runs on an SQL system, or in layman's terms, you would call it a sequence, okay? So those placeholders for gatekeeper are still in there, but they just don't transmit information anywhere anymore, and there's no control mechanism in there anymore called gatekeeper. So, but you still have to, the system is going to say, if this code is registered, then proceed to the next level in the chain. So you still have to put in those codes, and I do that when I issue new funds, okay? Like we did last week, like we did the week before, okay? So this is why everybody is so angry at Kim, because what they don't understand, okay, is number one, I'm the issuer of both sides' codes. I'm the guardian, remember? So neither one of them can function without each other, which they still haven't figured out. Both of them are trying to fight against each other to rule the world. But at the end of the day, I'm sitting here with control over all of the access codes, key codes, data codes, identity codes, family codes, and everything else that everybody needs to get money out of the system. So I had to figure out a way, okay, if we're going to transfer money into the new system, right, into the front side banking system for all of you, how do I prevent these people from stealing the codes as the data packages flow through the sequence? Had a great idea. So now all the codes are transaction specific. So it doesn't matter if it's a family code or it's a NSA code or it only goes to those allocations. They're married, okay? So let me give you an example. Here. So in order to get money through to, say, JP Morgan or any one of the other places or the Treasury Department, so I'm flowing through the cycle, 6, 3, right? Okay, so back system. Okay, Treasury. Okay, I'm going from me, and I'm going through 6, Federal Reserve. Okay, we have here an access code, so they can see that a message has come in, that they can't open it. So it's kind of like when someone sends you a secure file on one of these like Hushmail or Dropbox or whatever it is, it asks you for a PIN code so that you can actually view the file. That's what this is here. Now, in the past, the Federal Reserve would have issued a key code. Okay, this says, okay, I accessed your package and I've looked at it. Now I'm going to issue you a key code and I'm going to say, okay, it's approved by the Fed, which means that it's registered, okay, in all of the places that the books are held. So that would be your GCHQ and all the other levels that we previously discussed. We have in the United States, we have the General Office of Accounting, we have the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. There's so much redundancy in the system, it's ridiculous. But everybody with a hand has their hand in the pot, okay? Now, I got to go to level 3, which is the Treasury Department, right? Now, remember, I said level 3 is predominantly CIA or agency of someone or another or Black Sun, right? So it makes sense that Mnuchin is Black Sun, right? Okay, these people are Rothschild. Okay, so I got to go from here now to here. So what has to happen when it hits here? So now these people are going to go, hey, wait a minute, right? I can't access this package. Okay, so they also need an access code and a data code. So once that goes into here, okay, they got to have the access code and the data code, which I also issue. So I'm issuing these two, and then I'm going to issue these two. Okay, I'm going to register them in the front side system. Now with the data code, once they enter that, what comes up are all your allocation numbers. Okay, so now you've got your complete and total registration, front system and back system of the new allocation of money. So if you're going to deposit $1,000, right, I can issue an allocation number for $100 bills, which is like the serial number you see on the paper ones, right, times 10, right? So that's what you would see when they opened this up. They would see a registration number for $100 bills to get to that $1,000 number. Now, if it's 500 million or a trillion or something, that's a lot of numbers that get registered in the system once they hit that button. Okay. Now, they got to get that money over to you, right? That's the next step. So you got to pass through a 4 and a 5 pentagon. And your indexing system, let's call it. Okay. Now, in level 4, what they used to have control over are things like, for example, how much money can Mary Doe have in her account? And they would change it, and they say, oh, if she hits any more than $10,000 at a time, trigger us, let us know. This person is completely blackballed, so they'll allow you like maybe $1,000 in a bank account at a time. But if you were to try to get maybe $1 million, right, this system right here would trigger and it would reject you. But it's an access code and a batching code. Okay, so these guys would have said, okay, it's permissible for you to pass, but it would have taken these guys here to allow that dollar to come through. So now I also issue these batching codes and the access code, right? Now let's go back. Now we got to go to level 8. So now I need the BIS. Oh, forgot 7 and 2 in here. 7 and 2. So I have to also enter the family code. Access. And my NSA override. It's called the level 23 compliance. Okay. So I didn't know any of this when I started this program 4 years ago, so I think I've come a long way. So you guys got to kind of bear with me here a little bit. Okay. So 7 and 2, access and compliance code, also called a remuneration code, has to be entered in here. And then your BIS, IMF override, and then eventually you hit level 1, okay? Where you live, your bank. Okay, now I'm going to take you up. What is level 1? Okay, who issues bank software? Who issues bank hardware? Who does everybody buy from? Which also has a backdoor in what's called level 0 assembly processing. You have IBM systems, HP systems, Microsoft systems, right? So now we've got software and hardware issues that come into play here. So you got to lock those doors before you get to this point. So this is all level 1, load balancer. Banking server systems. Have many redundancies, data centers, and whatnot from around the world. That's the servers right here, okay? Now, you got to go from there, and you're going to come out of one of these servers, and they have a hack-proof thing here. So they'll know if the back office access codes and data codes and batch numbers are incorrect, because it will send you into what's called the abyss, right? Some people call it a honeycomb, honey net, and that's a honey trap. That's where all of the wrong transactions get deleted, right? So when the hackers go in and try to fake and put $1 billion, or your Prometheus systems, or your Chinese elders, or your Westland New Zealand people, or your Norway people try to put money back, they take it out of the system. Remember, they siphoned it out of the back system. They siphoned it out of the front system, right? Through the stock markets and all of this stuff. They put it into a little subsection over here, and then it says, then they want to put it back in, right, in the form of the RV. Well, that doesn't exactly work because you don't have an access code and a key code anymore. You don't have a data code. You don't have a bypass and batch number. You don't have this information. Once you've taken it out, it's not coming back, Mr. Obama, no matter how much you stomp your feet and cry and complain, okay? Then from here, you start hitting the web servers, which is where you live, right? This is where your stuff is. When you log in on your app or the internet, you go into the teller window, this is where you've got to get to. There's also another load balancer that exists in here. And each one of these things were manufactured by predominantly one of these people, okay? So we've gotten past here, right? And we're hanging out here. And we've gotten redirected over here, which is I found out how that exists. You've also got the UN in here, which has been given access by these people to divert us once before. And when I say we're waiting for funds to clear, all I want to do is go from here to here and not have to talk to the UN, IBM, HP, Microsoft, or anybody else owned by Halliburton or Dick Cheney or any of these other folks. I just want to go to you. So I've got a little bit of work left to do in here just to go directly, but we do have no problem hitting a bank now. Okay, so all those access codes, data codes, and key codes that you saw, that's already been finished for all of us, right? So what does the Fed do? Okay, I want to explain to you the Fed real quick, just so you understand, because everybody's like, down with the Fed, down with the Fed, replace it with the Chinese system, and all of these types of things. Now, remember, the front system was built by the back system and not the other way around, okay? So the base platform of the front system has to coordinate with the back system, which is why the Federal Reserve has the capacity to process so many transactions per second. Neither gatekeeper nor the Federal Reserve was built without the cooperation of the others, okay? Both of them were built that way. That's why when I tell you your blockchains and the QFSs and the things Google's doing and whatever, you're not even in the neighborhood of what's really going on here, okay? So on the front side banking system, the Federal Reserve is at the top. Now, if you're from a country, sorry, if you are a country, you need to understand that you are subject to these people. No matter what you want to do, no matter how you want to slice it, no matter if you want to issue a new currency or whatever your problem is, you're not going to do it without these people, okay? I also have to override them with the access code and the key code, remember? So I don't need to talk to those humans. I just go right through the chute. But the fact of the matter is you're subject to these people. Now, what we talked about in the past is that by 2012, their agreement to issue new currency, new US dollars, is over. Okay, so that agreement had to be renewed with the back system, or now me. Okay, so they don't want to tell anybody, these Rothschilds, JP Morgan, the Morgans, all these people, the Dragon families and whatnot, don't want to tell anybody that they can't do that anymore. Okay, so now, let's go down the food chain here. Under the Federal Reserve, Tier 1. Okay, every central bank in the world, all central banks exist here. Every single one of them in the banking system is considered a level 3, Tier 1 institution. So when they tell you in dinar land, the Tier 1s are going first, well, yeah, because they're next in line after the Fed for control, okay? So every central bank in the world, every central bank's currency in the world, new allocations came in the past from the back system. They go through the Federal Reserve. So all these central bankers here, the reason why they're all Rothschildians, as I call them, is because they're tied directly to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve hired them all because all of these people work for them and vice versa, okay? You cannot issue a new RMB. They tried it last weekend for anybody who's watching this program, and they also tried it 2 days ago, okay? You cannot issue these things. You cannot issue any ruble. You cannot issue a British pound. You cannot issue a USD. You cannot issue a South African rand. You can't issue any currency in the world, every currency. You can't issue a euro without your key code and data code from the Federal Reserve, which you now know comes from the back system, okay? So tier 1 banks, HSBC, Barclays, Bank of America, JP Morgan, so on and so forth. But they all have the same amount of power in the banking system as the central banking system does, okay? Need all the access codes, key codes, data codes, or whatever. Now, where are you? Okay, you bank with a credit union in the United States. You are here, okay? So we got to go through the Federal Reserve, data codes, batch codes, key codes, right? Through JP Morgan, batch numbers, manual overrides, remuneration codes, so on and so forth. And then if JP Morgan does their job, which they never do, by the way, does their job, I can now get to credit union, okay? Or I can go down here to HSBC, I can go to Bank of America, and I can hit like maybe Capital One Bank, down here. And then I can go down from here to like Arizona Bank of the West, or right, something, right? So now you've got, this is what's called tier 2. Okay, so tier 1, tier 2. So if I'm going to go to, say, a bank in South Africa, let's call it FSB Bank, I got to go from here, I got to go to a tier 1, which actually in this particular case would be considered Bank of England. Any Commonwealth country, for those of you listening, it's Bank of England first. That's my tier 1 bank in this transaction. I got to go down there, and then I got to go to your Central Bank of South Africa or Australia or wherever you're going, and then I have to hit the next bank down in the food chain, ANZ Bank. As an example, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you'll recognize that bank. So it's a lot more complicated than anybody thinks. And the Federal Reserve has more control than you ever thought. Everybody thinks of the Federal Reserve controlling the dollar and the dollar controlling the world, but that's not the case, okay? It's every new allocation of every currency in the world. So even if you were a dragon family and you had desires to back the entire world's currency with gold, say, okay? That still has to have a hallmark. And it has to be registered as gold in the back system. It has to hit one of the backside vaults in the cross-collateralization program, which you know nothing about, and I had to fix and change, right, to get to the front. So a lot of the questions that we had for today's show were all relative to everything.